Today's scripture reading comes from the book of Matthew, chapter 20, verses 26 through 28. It will not be so among you, but whoever wishes to be great among you must be your servant, and whoever wishes to be first among you must be your slave, just as the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve, and to give his life a ransom for many. May the Lord bless the reading and understanding of his holy word.
Good morning, Butler Christian Church. Good to be here with you all this morning, even though it is through video. All three of us, Wes, Jack, and myself, ended up with COVID this past week, and we all are doing fine, but wanted to take some extra precautions just to make sure that whatever virus or germs we had, we are not sharing with any of you. So I miss you all, and I will look forward to seeing you next week. So we're continuing in our series with neglected voices. And this week we heard from three voices that were even pretty unknown to myself. So it was pretty exciting to do some reading. We heard from the voice of Baruch, who was the scribe to the prophet Jeremiah. So Jeremiah received inspiration from God, and then Baruch, who was the trained scribe, wrote the messages on behalf of Jeremiah that then went out to all of the people. We then heard stories from Phoebe was the last one that we heard from. The woman who anointed the feet of Jesus. So she doesn't even have a name, but she was a person. So Jesus was in the house of the Pharisee Simon. And so Simon welcomed Jesus into his home, gave him a place to share his message, a place to eat, a place to rest. But he did not offer true hospitality, the hospitality of the day, which was to wash and anoint a visitor's feet. And so while there was clearly several people from the community who were present in this home, a woman from the community walked in and provided this incredible hospitality. And then lastly, there's Phoebe. Phoebe we find in the epistles, and Phoebe is in the book of Romans. Phoebe is a woman who provides great leadership and great servant to the people in her community. And so much so that she is actually sent to Rome to represent her community, and she is named as a deacon. And so this is one of those places where we see a woman who's named a deacon and made a leader in the early church community. And all three of these persons were servants in their community in their own right and in their own way. And in their own way led to sharing the good news of God and sharing the goodness of God, and especially in Phoebe's case, the goodness of God in the ministry of Jesus Christ. And so in reflecting on these three stories, and in reflecting on you as a community of faith, the idea is to talk to you about servanthood. And for me, that's a challenge. And the reason it's a challenge for me is because so many of you are already serving. So many of you are already giving of your time and your talent and your treasure to help other people. And many of you do it quietly, and you don't do it with the intention of receiving any sort of reward or award or any sort of recognition. You do it because it's who you are. You do it because it brings you joy. And you do it because it is your way of living as the hands and feet of Christ here and now. So then, what is there to preach about servanthood? Well, the world is big, and there are always needs. And some of the needs we aren't even aware of that need to be met. And so this sermon, not so much a sermon perhaps, but more so a challenge for all of us this week, is take a step back in your community and look around and see what needs are not being met. Where are the places that people need help? And then, not as individuals, but as a church community, what is something that we, as a church community, can do to help respond to that need? So not as individuals, but as an entire church. How can we respond? And that is a bigger challenge, because that is a conversation that we all have to have with one another. We have to share the things that we've noticed in the last week that are a need in the community, or things that we've been made aware of that are a need in the community. And then as a church, we have to have a conversation and decide how we respond as a church to those needs in the community. And this is servanthood, because it will require sacrifice from everyone involved to respond to those needs. But what will be really cool in taking the time to observe and then have a conversation as a whole community of faith is that we will be able to make a bigger response and have a bigger impact. So that's your challenge for this coming week until we see each other again in person, is to take a look around the community. Take a look around Butler, northern Pendleton County, and notice what are the needs in the community that are not currently being met. And then let's be prepared to have a conversation as an entire community of faith and learn from one another and begin to brainstorm how we can react and respond as one community of faith in servanthood, being the hands and the feet of Christ